Amy Rowe is our county agent, Dr. Amy Rowe. She's associate professor from Rutgers. She represents both Passaic and Essex County. She wears many hats, and I'm so delighted she's going to share her expertise with us tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be here. I am going to be talking about stormwater, but I just want to give you some background about Rutgers. I am the county agent for Rutgers Cooperative Extension here in Essex and Passaic counties. And in case you haven't heard of Rutgers Cooperative Extension, we are the outreach portion of the university. So we bring the research from New Brunswick and the main campus out into the local community. And so you may have heard of us, you may not have. But this is our mission. I'm not going to read it, but you may have heard of the 4-H department. That's one of our main departments here at Rutgers Cooperative Extension. We work with kids. My department is agriculture and natural resources, so I'm the environmental agent here in the county, so I can help you with stormwater, with water quality issues, air quality, all kinds of things. Then we also have a family and community health sciences and the Office of Continuing Professional Education. Some of you may have taken classes through their office, and so these are all the departments in Rutgers Cooperative Extension. But again, we are bringing all the knowledge from the university out into the community at the local level. So that's what we do, and so I'm here for you. My contact information is at the end of this program, so if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me. But that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to talk to you guys about stormwater, about the watershed here at Packanack Lake, and what homeowners can do and what the community can do to reduce runoff, to reduce impacts to the lake, and to all the little behaviors that you can do to improve the water quality of the lake. So let's just dive right in. Do you guys remember like 3rd grade earth science, the water cycle? So in case you don't remember, because it may be a long time ago for some people, you have rain clouds forming in the atmosphere that leads to precipitation that will then run off all of our hard surfaces, so all of our driveways, our highways, our rooftops, but also any compacted ground will also lead to runoff. Some of the water may infiltrate down into the soil, and then a whole lot of that water evaporates back up into the atmosphere, either through evaporation off of those surfaces or off of plants, off of exposed soil, and then you have the whole cycle all over again. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about all of these things. So I mentioned Packanack Lake as a watershed. Do you guys know what a watershed is? Have you heard that term? Does anyone have any idea? You guys gonna be shy? Yes.
Yeah, to me, a watershed is just like a drainage basin where
Yes.
Something, a whole area of where rain comes down and drains into one area.
Exactly. So I don't even need to show this video of Jim Cantor from the Weather Channel, because you pretty much nailed that. So basically, it's like a funnel. It's taking all of the water across the whole watershed down into a receiving water body, which here happens to be Packanack Lake, and then Packanack Lake is part of the Passaic River watershed. And so all of the actions of all the homeowners in this watershed will impact Packanack Lake. I'm sure you guys have seen the algae blooms. You're aware of the water quality issues here in the lake and across all of the water bodies here in northeastern New Jersey. And so we're trying to improve that water quality. We're trying to get everybody on board to care about their watershed and to care about Packanack Lake. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about all the things that you can do as homeowners and as a community to improve the water quality here. Because all of the parts of the watershed all lead down to that receiving water. So everybody, no matter where you live, you're part of a watershed, and your behaviors and your actions on your own property will impact everyone downstream. Everybody lives downstream of somebody, and that those behaviors will impact our watershed. So these are just the different parts of the watershed, and so even the groundwater is part of the watershed. And so we just need to be aware of what we're doing, how all of our landscaping techniques are impacting the water body and impacting the water quality. And so just to give you some perspective, New Jersey has a lot of urban development, but before we did, we had a lot of our water going down into groundwater. So we had infiltration at the shallow level, infiltration at the very deep level down into groundwater, only a little bit of runoff, and then everything else going back up into the atmosphere. But now that we are heavily, heavily developed, especially here in northeastern New Jersey, we have only a little bit of infiltration, a lot of runoff, and still a little bit of evapotranspiration going back up into the atmosphere. So all of those rooftops, those driveways, those parking lots, those roadways, all of those things are impervious surfaces that don't allow the water to infiltrate back down into our groundwater or down into our receiving waters. And so all of that is leading to flooding issues, leading to major runoff issues that, as you know, you live in Wayne, you've probably seen that localized flooding from all of that runoff when it rains. So, because all of those hard surfaces are collecting contaminants when it's dry, all of those solids, all of those oils and greases from cars, all of the trash, the litter, the debris, all of the poop from geese, all of those things are being collected when it rains as non-point source pollution. There's not a single person that is contributing to all of that as a contamination source. It's just society pollution versus point source, which is something like a factory that's discharging contaminants directly into a water body. So this is non-point source pollution that we are worried about when we're talking about runoff and stormwater. So just to reiterate this, here are some examples of non-point source pollution. You can see like how many geese are contributing to this. Do you guys know how much one goose can poop per day? Do you guys know? How many pounds? How many pounds of poop do you think one single geese? It's one. 1 pound of poop per day per goose. So I don't even know how many geese are in this picture. So that's a lot of phosphorus. That's a lot of nitrogen going directly into our water bodies. So we need to manage this in a smart way. And obviously the geese population is a whole another issue. We could have a whole talk just on controlling geese, but just be aware that all of these things lead to contaminated water bodies. Okay, but why do we care? Well, we care because we want our water quality to be good. Because when you have algae blooms, even the wildlife don't want to be there, but this impacts all of your recreational activities, all of your tourism, fishing, and then for up here in northern New Jersey, a lot of our drinking water comes from surface water bodies, so reservoirs, lakes, streams, and so we want to make sure that our water bodies are as clean as possible in terms of water quality. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you with all the science, but these are all the things that could possibly be in our runoff in terms of contaminants. And so I'm not going to read all of this, but just be aware that everything that we put down or that we could put into the environment can end up in our receiving body. So everything will end up here in Packanack Lake. It will end up in the Passaic River. And so all those pesticides, all those fertilizers, all of those metals, all of those things will end up down in our water bodies. And so we want to make a difference. We want to be as smart as we can in terms of our behavior and what we're doing to reduce the impacts here. Okay, and so part of the problem is that we don't allow nature to do its part. All of our stormwater management systems are just connected impervious surfaces. So we have a rooftop, we have a downspout, it goes into the driveway, it goes out to the street, and then it goes to a retention basin or out into our water body. So there's no opportunity for plants to uptake that water, to filter those contaminants out, or to improve that water quality. There's no opportunity for groundwater recharge. There's no giving that water back to our groundwater, back to our streams. And so sometimes all of the stormwater that's coming off of all of those hard surfaces is moving so quickly that it leads to erosion, and it really starts to break down the water body that's receiving it. Okay, so what can we do? That's why we're here. This is why your stormwater committee and all of your lake committees are meeting and working on all of these solutions. But what can we do as homeowners and as individual people? So one of the things that we can do is called low impact development. And all this is just trying to mimic what already happens in nature. Let biology and ecology do what it's supposed to do. Plant plants that can uptake water, allow that water to filter through plants and through soil. Give that water a chance to be filtered, to be uptaken, to be cleaned before it hits our lake here and before it impacts all of our activities and all of our biological processes here. So another term for low impact development is green infrastructure, and there are lots of benefits. This is just a list of some of those things. Again, you can protect communities from flooding and stormwater runoff. You can groundwater recharge if you let that water get back down into the soil and deep into our infiltration areas. You can protect wildlife habitat. You can reduce your maintenance costs because you don't have to update your infrastructure as often if you're using biological processes. These particular installations are often very aesthetically pleasing because you are putting plants, you're putting flowers, you're providing habitat for pollinators and for birds and all of those things that we want to promote in the environment. You're minimizing your site disturbance because, again, you are getting back to nature, getting back to the ecosystem level. You can also mitigate the urban heat island effect. So all of that concrete and all of that asphalt will actually increase the temperature of the environment around the surrounding area. So if you have green spaces, if you have trees, if you have plants, it will actually reduce the temperature locally at that area. And you can read all of these things. I'm not going to read all of them, but these are just some green infrastructure benefits and low impact development benefits that are helping us reduce stormwater and to improve that water quality as we go through it. Okay, so what can the typical homeowner do? So here are the 4 main things that you could do that are relatively achievable by the individual person, and we'll go through all of them. So let's start with disconnection. So if you have a downspout that is on your driveway, disconnection is just moving it from the driveway, which is a hard impervious surface, onto the lawn. If you can't do anything else, this is the simplest, most straightforward thing you could possibly do. Just move it from the driveway onto your lawn to allow the soil and to allow those turf plants and even into your garden to soak up that water, to allow that water to filter through the different layers of the soil, and you are improving stormwater, you're preventing stormwater at the site. So you are reducing flooding, you're minimizing pollution, and you are soaking up that water right where it's being generated. So that water won't even make it down into the lake, into the water body. And so you're reducing your impact, you're reducing the contamination load, and you are doing something that's literally moving the downspout 3 inches. That's it. That's all you're doing. So this is embarrassing that this particular rooftop has the runoff going directly into the storm drain. We don't want that to happen. We don't want the water to go right into the storm drain. And this is embarrassing because this is a fairly forward-thinking environmental nonprofit in Newark. I won't tell you which one it is. But their downspout is directly connected to the storm drain, so there's no chance for interception there. But we don't want to do that. We want to just break that connection, move that stormwater downspout from the driveway onto your grass. That's the easiest thing you could possibly do. Just allow that water to go into the soil, allow the turf to uptake it, or move it into your garden or whatever works for you, but get it off of that hard surface and off of the stormwater system. Okay, so another thing you could do is harvest the rainwater. This will do all kinds of things. So not only are you reducing stormwater runoff, but you are not using drinking water to water your plants. You can irrigate with collected rainwater. It reduces your utility bills a little bit. I mean, you're not saving a lot of water, but there's no reason to use drinking water to water your plants. Why are you using drinking water that's very high quality standard water to irrigate plants or your lawn? This can also prevent localized flooding. You're keeping the water out of your basement. You're directing it towards a different location. And then this also reduces pollution because you're preventing stormwater, again, at the source. Does anybody already have rain barrels or collect rainwater? Anybody? Nobody? Good, okay, good, excellent. So the thing about rainwater harvesting is that you need to actually use the water. You need to make sure you're using it before the next rainstorm, right? Which when it rains almost every day is a problem. Again, I was telling someone before the talk that the average rainfall for New Jersey is about 44 inches per year. In 2018, we got 64 inches of rain. So that's about 50% increase in just a single year. So hopefully that's not a trend. Hopefully that was an anomaly because we really don't want it to rain every single day. But collecting rainwater is a great resource. It kind of changes that mindset of out of sight, out of mind in terms of stormwater, and it thinks of rainwater as a resource rather than as a nuisance. So just keep that in mind. So another thing you could do is to install a rain garden. Have you guys heard of rain gardens? Good. So a rain garden is simply a shallow depression that has specific plants installed in it that is designed specifically to capture stormwater. So you're just trying to capture and hold that stormwater on site just long enough to keep it out of the stormwater system and to allow that water to infiltrate down into the soil and to prevent any generation of runoff that could run off down into your lake here, into the receiving water body. And so rain gardens are designed specifically to hold water for less than 24 hours. This is not a pond, it's not a pool, it's not standing water, it's not supposed to be breeding mosquitoes. This is just holding water for a couple hours and then infiltrating down into the soil so that you don't have that runoff, you don't have standing water or water standing in the system to get all of that, allowing the water to infiltrate rather than run off down into Packanack Lake here. So the plants that are chosen in rain gardens are specific based on the plants that are in the base area need to be able to withstand water conditions, so flooded conditions, and then the plants that are up in the different zones have to withstand certain dry conditions, because when it's not raining, your rain garden's going to be dry. This is draining within 24 hours. We're not breeding mosquitoes. We don't have a standing pond or pool. The water is really moving through there. If you have drainage issues on your property, please don't install your rain garden right where you have a drainage issue, because the water really needs to be moving through there. But here are some examples of rain gardens. These are both in Essex County for this particular example. But you can see that they're very aesthetically pleasing, and you can put them just about anywhere. You can put them in your residence. This one in Newark is only about 70 square feet, so it's very small, 7 by 10 rain garden. So you don't need thousands of square feet to install a rain garden. This is something that can be done by the homeowner to capture that stormwater and to prevent all that runoff from getting down into the lake. So rain gardens do all kinds of things. So they are, again, allowing groundwater recharge. You are reducing localized flooding. You are reducing wet spots on your own property if you had, depending on how it is designed. They're also providing some wildlife habitat for all of our pollinators. Depending on which plants you put in there, you're providing seeds and providing, providing habitat and a place for birds and for small critters to live, especially during the winter. And so you're not just providing the stormwater benefit, you're also providing a wildlife benefit in addition to that. You can also use native plants in rain gardens that are both water tolerant, salt tolerant, and climate tolerant. So they don't need a lot of water, they don't need a lot of care. Those native plants are already adapted to New Jersey's climate. And then you are controlling stormwater and reducing stormwater pollution right at the source. And this also adds an aesthetic benefit to your landscape, because instead of this turf area, now you have all of these plants that look much better. Most people think that flowers look better than turf, but those are some benefits of rain gardens. Okay, so another thing that you could do as a homeowner, now this one's a little more advanced. You do have to plan this one a little bit more, but using permeable pavement rather than traditional pavement, this pavement allows water to filter down through either the pores of the concrete and the asphalt, or if you have concrete pavers, the water will flow through the spacing in between the pavers. So again, you have the possibility of groundwater recharge. You have low life cycle costs here. These types of pavements do not go through the freeze-thaw cycle that traditional asphalt or traditional concrete would go through. You don't have potholes because that water is infiltrating as soon as ice and snow start to melt, so you don't have that heave issue that you may have with traditional pavements. Again, you can also mitigate the urban heat island effect, because those types of pavements will actually absorb heat rather than send it back into the atmosphere and increase the temperature. And these systems also have several layers of gravel underneath them, so you get contaminant removal as the water moves through them, just like a filtering system. And so here we have, just to point this out, we have concrete pavers. This is permeable concrete, this is porous asphalt, and then these are called, what are they called? Lattice pavers that allow grass to grow through them. And then here, just for your visualization, we have a traditional asphalt driveway, and then this is porous asphalt. So you can see how wet this is on the traditional side, and then here is porous asphalt that is letting the water run through it. So again, this is a little bit more advanced. Permeable pavement will always cost more than traditional pavement because it's an entire stormwater management system, but it has all of these benefits and it has a much longer life cycle than traditional asphalt. So consider it, but you will need an engineer and you will need a professional company that knows what they're doing when you're installing this kind of system. So keep that in mind. Don't do it under your own supervision. Make sure that you have a licensed engineer helping you with permeable pavement.